Alien girl tries human lip balm. Why do my lips feel kissable? The crash wasn't soft. Kale knew that even before the sickening crunch of the cockpit tearing free from the fuselage and the world dissolving into a chaotic tumble of screaming metal and flashing light, he'd felt the missile hit, a sudden, brutal punch that vaporized half the cargo hold and sent the Wanderers spiraling toward the forbidden moon. The Moon of Whispers, they called it, ringed in shimmering, unstable energy fields, home to cultures that didn't welcome outsiders, especially not outsiders caught running black market tech through protected space. Guilt gnawed at him. Not for the smuggling, that was just survival, but for the comms relay he'd overridden, the one that might have warned someone, anyone, if he hadn't been so damn focused on getting rich. Now he was rich in broken bones and impending death. He clawed his way out of the wreckage, the air thick with ozone and the cloying scent of alien flora he didn't recognize. Everything was shades of violet and deep crimson under the faint, multi-hued glow of the rings. The ground beneath him was a lattice of sharp, crystalline formations that hummed faintly. Pain screamed through his left leg, a sharp, white fire above the dull ache of countless bruises. He dragged himself away from the smoking heap, leaving a smear of his own blood on the glittering ground. He needed cover. He needed to think. But thinking was hard when the air vibrated with a power that felt both ancient and hostile. He hadn't gone 10 meters before he heard it. Not footsteps. Not exactly. A rhythmic thump hiss, like something heavy and agile, moving through the strange crystalline terrain. He froze, dropping behind a jagged, glowing shard. His hand went to the empty holster on his hip. Shit. The crash. Weapons gone? Comms gone? Ship gone? He was just meat on a hook on a forbidden moon. The thump hiss grew louder, closer. Then she emerged, tall, taller than him by a head. Built like a predator sculpted from twilight and muscle, her skin wasn't skin. Not like his. It was a mosaic of segmented plates that pulsed with a soft internal bioluminescence, shifting from deep indigo to electric blue with her movement. Her eyes, large and multifaceted, reflected the ring light like twin galaxies. She wore minimal coverings, intricate woven fibers that clung to her powerful form, displaying the ridges of her ribcage and the fierce curve of her hips. A wicked, curved blade, edged with glowing crystal, was strapped across her back. She moved with a terrifying grace, utterly silent despite the heavy sound her body made against the ground. He knew, instantly, that she hadn't just found him by chance. She had hunted him. Her gaze swept over the wreckage, then locked onto his position. There was no surprise in those alien eyes, only assessment. And something else, something cold, hungry, his heart hammered against his ribs. Well, fuck, he muttered, pushing himself further back into the crystal. She stopped a few meters away, her head tilting slightly, like a bird of prey. Her multifaceted eyes narrowed, focusing on him with unnerving intensity. The bioluminescence under her skin flared brighter, turning from indigo to a vivid, aggressive electric blue. She didn't speak, didn't gesture, she just looked. And in that look, Kale felt the full weight of his trespass, the violation of her territory. His injured leg throbbed, a dull counterpoint to the sharp fear building in his gut. He tried to assess his options. Zero. He had zero options. Running was impossible. Fighting was impossible. Talking, maybe? But what did you say to an alien warrior who looked like she wanted to dissect you? Hey there, he managed, his voice rough. Look, didn't mean to drop in unannounced. My ride had the issues. He gestured weakly back at the smoking wreck. Her head tilted again. A low, resonant sound emanated from her throat, a soft hum that seemed to vibrate in the air around him. It wasn't a growl, but it wasn't friendly either. It felt like she was tasting the air? Or him. Her gaze lingered on his face, then dropped to his hands, then his leg. The bioluminescence flared again, a rapid pulse this time. Faster. He had the distinct impression he was being scanned, cataloged. Potential threat? Potential meal? Or something worse? You understand me? He tried again, slowly. English? Basic? Anything? She took a step closer. Another thump hiss. The air grew heavier, charged. He could feel the low hum from her throat deep in his own chest. It was disorienting, primal. He braced himself, ready to try and crawl away, even though he knew it was futile. Her hand lifted, long, multi-jointed fingers tipped with short, sharp claws. She pointed past him, toward the wreckage. Then she spoke. Her voice was low, guttural, yet with an almost melodic resonance, entirely alien. It was a series of clicks, hums, and resonant tones. He didn't understand a single word, but the intent was crystal clear. Authority, demand, a challenge. She wanted him to go back to the wreck. Why? He didn't know, but he wasn't about to argue. Not with those eyes, that posture, that sheer palpable power radiating off her. He pushed himself up slowly, wincing as his leg protested. All right, he grumbled, shuffling backward towards the twisted metal of his ship. Lead the way, I guess. As he moved past her, she reached out a finger, long and tapered, and touched the crimson smear his blood had left on a glowing crystal shard. She brought the finger to her, well, to her face, plates, near where a nose would be. She inhaled slowly, deeply. Her bioluminescence pulsed violently, shifting through rapid shades of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. He stopped, watching, completely unnerved. Was she smelling him? Analyzing his composition? It was unsettlingly intimate. She finished her strange ritual, her bioluminescence settling back to a deep, predatory indigo. She looked at him again, her multifaceted eyes holding a new intensity. Then, with another commanding hum, she gestured for him to continue towards the wreck. He needed a distraction, something to throw her off balance. Anything to buy himself time or understand this terrifying interaction. As he limped towards the wreckage, his gaze fell on a small, cylindrical object that had fallen from his torn flight suit pocket during the crash. It was his ancient tube of lip balm. Coconut scent, ironically. He picked it up, turning it over in his hand. Stupid, completely useless. An impulse, born of sheer, desperate absurdity, hit him. He stopped, held up the tube towards her. Here, he said, his voice edged with sarcastic bravado he didn't feel. Peace offering, cultural exchange? She stopped, her head tilting again, her eyes fixed on the tube. He unscrewed the cap, pushed the stick up slightly. He swiped it across his own cracked, dry lips. Then he offered it to her. Her eyes widened slightly, the bioluminescence on her face, plates rippling like disturbed water. She took a hesitant step closer, her gaze flicking between the tube and his lips. Curiosity warred with her obvious predatory nature. He gave her a tight, humorless smile. Go on, try it. It's a thing humans do. For comfort. He held his breath. What the hell was he doing? This was either the dumbest thing he'd ever done, or maybe, just maybe, a tiny crack in her armor of alien aggression. After a long moment of tense silence, punctuated only by the faint hum from her throat, she reached out her hand. Her fingers brushed his as she took the tube. The touch was surprisingly gentle, yet sent a strange tingle up his arm. He watched, mesmerized as she examined the tube. Turning it in her hand, her multifaceted eyes seemed to be analyzing its composition, its texture. Then, slowly, tentatively, she mirrored his action. She lifted the tube to her own lips. Her lips weren't like his, more like flexible plates surrounding her powerful mandibles, but they were capable of sensation, of texture. She applied the balm. Her eyes widened again, even more this time. The bioluminescence flared dramatically, sweeping through her entire body in a wave of vibrant, shifting color. A low, guttural sound escaped her, different from the hum. It wasn't distress. It was surprise, followed by something else. She touched her lips with her fingers, a gesture that was startlingly human-like. She looked at the tube, then back at him, her multifaceted eyes reflecting a confused intensity. Then she spoke, her voice a low resonance mixed with her alien clicks and hums. But one phrase cut through, clearer this time, less alien, though still tonally strange. It sounded like a question, laced with bewilderment and something akin to fascination. Why? Why do my lips feel kissable? He stared at her, speechless. Kissable? He hadn't anticipated that. The lip balm was coconut-scented. Maybe that was it, or maybe the strange pheromones in the balm reacting with her alien biology. Regardless, the sheer, raw, confused intensity in her multifaceted eyes as she said the word kissable struck him like a physical blow. It was so utterly unexpected, so vulnerable in the face of her earlier terrifying dominance. It wasn't a question he could answer. He just stood there, adrenaline beginning to fade, replaced by a different kind of tension, thicker, hotter. She still held the lip balm tube, her fingers tracing the strange human glyphs on its surface. Her bioluminescence had settled into a shimmering, agitated green. She looked at him again, her gaze dropping to his mouth, then back to his eyes. The predatory edge hadn't completely vanished, but it was overlaid with this new, baffling curiosity. Kissable, she repeated, the word sounding both alien and strangely alluring on her multi-plated lips. What is kissable? He managed a shaky breath. It's when you want to put your mouth on someone else's mouth. Simple, right? Her head tilted again. The green light on her body intensified. Want? She echoed, the word sounding like a foreign concept that intrigued her. To put mouth, mouth? For what purpose? Purpose? He almost laughed. Well, hell, for connection, for pleasure, sometimes, for bonding. He didn't know why he said bonding. Maybe it was the primal feeling of this place, the intensity of her presence. The word hung in the air between them. Heavy, her bioluminescence shifted again, a slow wave of deep violet spreading across her plates. Bonding. The word resonated in a way he hadn't expected, a low hum vibrating in the air, mirroring the hum from her throat earlier. She took another step towards him, closing the small distance between them. She was right in front of him now, towering over him, her multifaceted eyes fixing him with an intense, unblinking stare. He could see the intricate patterns on her segmented skin, the subtle pulses of light beneath the surface. The air around her was thick with the scent of ozone, and something else, something metallic and sweet that he hadn't noticed before. His injured legs screamed, but he barely registered it. All his senses were focused on her, on the alien warrior who smelled like a storm and was asking him about kissing. She reached out her hand again, not for the lip balm this time, but towards his face. He flinched, expecting a blow, a capture, something painful, but her fingers, the same ones that had taken the balm, were slow, deliberate. She brushed a single finger across his lower lip, right where he had applied the balm moments before. Her touch was cool, dry, yet sent a jolt through him. It felt like a lightning strike. This feeling, she rumbled, her voice low and resonant, from the balm. This is blood kissable. She looked at him, the pure, unadulterated alien curiosity in her eyes almost overwhelming the predatory instinct. He swallowed hard. Yeah, he breathed. Something like that. Her gaze dropped to his mouth again, lingering there. He could almost feel the weight of her stare, analyzing, cataloging. The concept of kissable seemed to be occupying her alien mind completely. She leaned closer, the strange, metallic sweet scent intensifying. Her breath brushed his face, cool and smelling faintly of crushed minerals. He could see the complex structures within her multifaceted eyes, the way they reflected the light. Her lips, the multi-plated structures, were parted slightly, the edge of a sharp, crystalline tooth visible. It wasn't a threat now, it was investigation. She wanted to understand Kissable, and she seemed to think his mouth was the key. What happens? She asked, her voice a low, vibrating hum that seemed to bypass his ears and go straight to his bones. If I experience Kissable, he had a bad feeling he knew what she meant. The sheer, raw intensity of her gaze, the subtle shift in her posture, the way her bioluminescence pulsed with an almost feverish light. This wasn't just theoretical inquiry. She wanted to know, with her mouth. On his rational mind screamed danger, screamed get away, screamed she's an alien warrior, she'll bite your face off. But his body was reacting in a way that defied logic. The fear was still there, a cold knot in his stomach, but it was laced now with a thrilling, terrifying current of something else entirely. Desire. Raw, animalistic desire, sparked by her alien power, her strange vulnerability over a tube of lip balm, and the utterly shocking question in her eyes. He hadn't felt this alive, this dangerous in years. Not since before the job went bad, before he carried the guilt like a physical weight. You might find out, he whispered back, his voice hoarse. His hand instinctively reached out, not in defense, but in a tentative offering. He stopped himself. Bad idea. Terrible idea. But his fingers twitched, wanting to touch her segmented skin, to feel the pulse of the light under his fingertips. Her gaze flicked down to his hand, then back to his eyes. She saw the hesitation, the conflict, and she smiled. It wasn't a human smile. The plates around her mandibles shifted, widening slightly, revealing more of those sharp crystalline teeth. It was a predatory smile, yes, but it was also knowing. She understood the push and pull, the danger and the draw. She understood his desire, even if she didn't understand its human origin. She leaned closer still. He could feel the heat radiating from her body, despite the coolness of her touch. His breath hitched. He was trapped, not by her strength, not yet, but by the sheer, overwhelming intensity of the moment, by the raw, alien demand in her eyes that transcended language and species. She wanted to understand Kissable, and she was going to understand it on him. His injured leg trembled, whether from pain or something else. He couldn't tell. The air thrummed with energy, her internal light flaring, the moon rings shimmering above. This was it. The moment his life took a turn so sharp, so bizarre, he'd never be able to explain it. All because of a goddamn tube of lip balm. Human, she rumbled, the word like a vibration in his chest. Her voice was softer now, but no less commanding. Show me! He didn't get a chance to respond. She moved then, not with the brutal force he expected, but with a swift, fluid motion that took his breath away. Her head lowered, her multifaceted eyes closing for a brief moment. Her multi-plated lips, still glistening faintly from the balm, descended towards his. He braced himself. Her mouth met his. It wasn't a soft, yielding press like human kisses. It was firm, demanding, investigative. The texture was strange, alien, the flexible plates cool and smooth against his own skin. He could feel the faint vibration of the hum from her throat against his mouth. She didn't just press her lips to his, she seemed to be sensing him, tasting him. It was less a kiss and more an intimate, physical interrogation. Her hands came up, cupping his face, her fingers surprisingly gentle against his skin. He could feel the subtle texture of her segmented plates against his cheeks, the faint warmth radiating from her palms. Her bioluminescence pulsed slowly, a deep, mesmerizing violet. He let out a shaky breath, his own hands coming up instinctively to rest on her arms, feeling the hard, yielding muscle beneath her skin. He could feel the subtle shifts in her body as she explored, absorbed the sensation. She shifted slightly, pressing her lips more firmly, then rubbing them gently back and forth against his. It was a purely exploratory action, devoid of human romantic convention, yet intensely, shockingly intimate. He felt a strange, dizzying rush. The scent of ozone and sweet minerals filled his head. Her touch, the pressure of her mouth, the vibration from her throat, it was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Alien, primal, utterly captivating. He found himself responding tentatively, moving his own lips against hers. The alien warrior, on a forbidden moon, investigating human kissable concepts using his mouth. It was insane and exhilarating. She made a soft sound, a low click of understanding, her body tensing slightly. She seemed to be processing the sheer sensation of it. Her bioluminescence flickered, a quick pulse of bright, agitated green before settling back to the deep violet. She broke the contact slowly, pulling back just enough for their foreheads to almost touch. Her multifaceted eyes, now open, were wide, reflecting the ring light and the strange, new knowledge. The expression in them was complex, still curious, still predatory, but also altered. Something had shifted. Kissable, she breathed again, the word a low hum against his skin. It creates sensation. Here, she tapped a finger gently against his chest over his heart. And here, she touched his mouth again. Her gaze dropped to his lips, then to the smear of blood still on his leg, then back up to his eyes. A new light flared in her eyes, a different kind of intensity. It wasn't just curiosity now. It was recognition. A recognition of something she hadn't expected to find. He felt a strange pull, a warmth spreading through him, originating from where she had touched him. It wasn't just physical. It felt resonant, like two frequencies suddenly aligning. Her hand dropped from his face, and she straightened, towering over him again. The moment of shared, bizarre intimacy passed, replaced by her inherent dominance. But it wasn't the same as before. Something had changed the dynamic. Her bioluminescence pulsed with a steady, powerful rhythm, a deep, resonant blue that seemed to emanate confidence. She pointed back towards the wreckage again, but this time, the gesture felt different. Less like a command, more like a claim. "You come with me," she stated, her voice low and firm. Not a question, a declaration. Her eyes held his, conveying a depth of alien intent he couldn't fully decipher, but it felt undeniably tied to the strange connection sparked by the Kissable investigation. He nodded, swallowing hard. There was no point in resisting. He was injured, alone, and she had just demonstrated a level of power that went beyond physical strength. And truth be told, he was hooked, baffled, terrified, but utterly captivated. He limped towards the wreckage, her presence a potent weight at his back. He could feel her watching him, sense her analyzing him, her alien mind processing the strange concept of kissable and the unexpected resonance it had triggered between them. He didn't know what came next, but he knew one thing. He wasn't just a crash survivor anymore. He was something else, something she had tasted, investigated, and now apparently claimed. He reached the wreckage, the mangled metal still smelling of burnt fuel and his own bad luck. He rummaged through the debris, looking for anything salvageable, a medkit, a data pad, anything that wasn't completely destroyed. Zero watched him, silent, her bioluminescence shifting subtly as her eyes tracked his movements. He found a battered first aid kit, miraculously intact. Inside, a few bandages, antiseptic wipes, pain meds. Not much, but better than nothing. He sat down against a twisted piece of hull, starting to clean the wound on his leg. The sting of the antiseptic was a welcome distraction from the strange lingering sensation on his lips and the humming resonance under his skin where she had touched him. As he worked, she spoke again, her voice drawing his attention. "Your form is damaged," she observed, stating the obvious with that detached alien precision. "You cannot run," he grunted in response. "Yeah, thanks for noticing. Didn't exactly plan the landing." Her head tilted. Plan? The word seemed new to her vocabulary. "You desired to arrive here. You're not damaged?" He almost chuckled. "Believe me, Wanderer was supposed to land on Silos Prime, intact, with all cargo accounted for. This is Plan F, where F stands for fucked." Her bioluminescence pulsed, a sudden flicker of understanding. Or was it amusement? It was hard to tell with her. "Fuck, she repeated, testing the human sound. It sounded strangely resonant on her multi-plated lips. "Is this the human ritual phrase for distress?" He sighed. "Close enough." He finished bandaging his leg, the makeshift repair making movement possible if still painful. He looked up at her. So, what now? You gonna haul me off to wherever you live? Sacrifice me to the glowing crystal gods? She didn't answer immediately. She stepped closer, crouching down with surprising agility. Her multifaceted eyes studied the bandaged leg, then met his gaze directly. My name is Zira, she stated, her voice low and powerful. I am of the bright scale lineage. First hunter. The titles meant nothing to him, but the delivery was clear. Authority. Status. Cal, he offered, feeling utterly inadequate in comparison. Just Cal. Smuggler. Apparently crash test dummy. Her bioluminescence brightened slightly at his name. Kale, she repeated, turning the sound over. It was fascinating watching her process human language, filtering it through her own alien structure. You spoke of bonding. When describing Kissable, his gut tightened. Here it came. The cultural significance of his dumb lip balm experiment. Yeah, he said, trying to sound casual. Sometimes, between mates. He used the human term, not wanting to introduce more confusing concepts. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Mates, she rumbled. In my lineage, bonding is disclaimed. Through strength. Through resonance. It is not a ritual of soft mouth pressing. She gestured vaguely at her own lips. Yet, the kissable sensation caused resonance. His blood ran cold. Resonance. She'd used that word earlier after the kiss. An accidental resonance. A bonding trigger. On this forbidden moon. With this alien huntress. Look, he said, trying to backtrack. Maybe bonding wasn't the right word. It's more a sign of affection. Of connection. Not necessarily a permanent thing. She rose fluidly, her posture radiating disbelief. Not permanent. Her voice was laced with a deep alien scorn. Claiming is permanent, human. Resonance is truth. You have initiated, something. With the kissable ritual. Ritual? He initiated a ritual with lip balm. It wasn't a ritual, he protested. It was chapstick. To stop my lips from cracking, her bioluminescence flashed angrily, turning a fierce, pulsing red. You lie. The resonance cannot be faked. You touched me with your mouth. You spoke of bonding. You are claimed. The intensity of her reaction was terrifying. She wasn't just angry. She seemed genuinely outraged, as if he had committed a grave offense against her fundamental reality. Claimed. The word hung in the air, heavy with alien consequence. He stood slowly, wincing. Hold on, Zira. We're having a serious cultural misunderstanding here. Where I come from, claiming involves wanted property deeds. Maybe a ring, definitely a conversation first. It's not triggered by cosmetic products. She advanced on him, her posture radiating pure, unadulterated dominance and fury. Silence. Claimed. Your words are irrelevant. The resonance is felt. It is truth. My lineage does not permit unclaimed things that possess resonance. Her hand shot out, wrapping around his wrist. Her grip was astonishingly strong, the texture of her segmented skin cool and firm against his pulse point. He felt a strange jolt again, a deep hum vibrating up his arm into his chest. Her bioluminescence flared around their joined hands, a blinding white light that seemed to emanate from both of them. He gasped, stumbling forward as the energy surged through him. It wasn't just light. It was a feeling of intense pressure, of his very atoms being rearranged. He looked down at their joined hands. The light pulsed between them, synchronized. This was the resonance. This was the claiming. It wasn't symbolic. It was physical, biological. He could feel it settling deep inside him, a foreign warmth that was both terrifying and undeniably powerful. Zira watched the light with intense focus, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the blinding light. A low sound, something between a hum and a gasp, escaped her. The light faded as quickly as it appeared, leaving behind a tingling sensation in his arm and a lingering imprint of her touch. Her grip on his wrist tightened, possessive now in a way that went beyond mere capture. "You are marked," she stated, her voice lower, calmer, but thick with finality, "by the resonance of claiming, to my lineage." "To me," he stared at her, reeling. Marked? Claimed? By an alien warrior he'd met 10 minutes ago because of lip balm? This was beyond fucked. This was cosmically absurd. "Mark," he whispered, feeling numb. "Where?" She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled him towards a narrow opening in the crystalline formations, leading away from the wreckage and deeper into the strange, glowing landscape. "The elders will confirm the claim," she stated, her tone brooking no argument. "They will test the resonance, and you will understand the truth of what you have done, human. You are mine now." The path she led him down twisted through towering crystals that pulsed with soft, internal light. The ground was still that strange, humming lattice. His injured leg protested with every step, but Zura's grip on his wrist was relentless, pulling him along with surprising speed. He tried to process what had just happened. A kiss, a strange resonance, and now he was claimed by an alien lineage. It sounded like something out of a bad holophone, but the feeling in his arm, the lingering warmth in his chest, felt terrifyingly real. "Zura," he gritted out, trying to keep up, "this claiming thing, does it involve a lot of, public ceremonies? Awkward questions about how we met?" She didn't slow. "It involves confirmation. By the elders. It involves displaying the strength of the bond. Bond. Not claiming anymore, but bond." Was there a distinction? Or was she using terms interchangeably? "Okay, look," he tried again. "I appreciate the cultural significance of this, but I'm just a guy who flies things from point A to point B. My resume doesn't exactly scream interstellar diplomat." She stopped abruptly, causing him to stumble against her. She turned, her multifaceted eyes fixing on him. Her bioluminescence was a steady, powerful blue. "Your resume?" she echoed, the word clearly alien to her. "Your past is irrelevant. Your presence here, the resonance. This is your truth now. The elders will decide your fate." Fate, right. From smuggler to crash survivor to potentially sacrificed to glowing crystals. Great career progression. "All right," he sighed. "Lay it on me. What kind of fate? Are we talking quick and painless? Or something involving ritual chanting and pointy sticks?" A low hum resonated from her throat. Not angry this time, but considering. "The elders follow ritual. The resonance must be understood. Unclaimed resonance is disruption. You are a disruption, Kale. An unexpected variable. An unexpected variable. An unexpected variable." That sounded about right. His whole life felt like an unexpected variable. They continued deeper into the crystalline maze. The air grew warmer, carrying a faint, metallic smell that was starting to become familiar. He noticed subtle changes in the landscape, glowing flora, intricate carvings on the crystal faces that seemed to capture the ambient light. This was clearly populated territory, an alien civilization hidden beneath the forbidding surface. He felt a pang of vulnerability. He was entirely at her mercy, utterly ignorant of her world, her rules, her intentions beyond this baffling claiming business. He still had the lip balm in his pocket, a stupid, mundane object that had triggered a cosmic chain reaction. He almost laughed at the absurdity of it all. Zura glanced back at him, her gaze sweeping over his injured form. For a brief moment, the predatory edge in her eyes softened, replaced by something else, a flicker of, but our responsibility? Concern? He couldn't be sure. Then it was gone, replaced by her usual commanding focus. "We must reach the gathering place before the cycle turns," she stated, her voice crisp. "The light intensifies there. It reveals truth." Light revealing truth? On a world made of glowing crystals, that sounded ominous. As they moved, he noticed other structures appearing in the distance. Built into the crystal formations, dwelling places, temples? They seemed to pulse with synchronized light, like the heartbeats of the moon itself. Zira led him into a wide cavern where the crystal walls glowed with an intense, warm orange light. The air here was thick with the metallic sweet scent he'd noticed earlier. In the center of the cavern, several figures stood or sat on crystalline formations. They were similar to Zira's segmented skin, bioluminescence, but older, their movements slower, their light a deeper, more constant hue. The elders, they turned as Zira entered, their multifaceted eyes focusing on him. The silence that fell was heavy, expectant. Zira stopped in front of the largest figure, an elder whose bioluminescence was a deep, resonant gold. She released his wrist, but the invisible thread of the claim still felt attached. She spoke, her voice lower, respectful, but still carrying the inherent power of her lineage. She used a series of clicks, hums, and resonant tones he didn't understand, but she punctuated her speech by gesturing to him, to his mouth, and touching her own lips. Then she spoke the human word, resonant and clear in the alien silence. Kissable. The elders turned their gazes from Zira to him, their multifaceted eyes studying him with unnerving intensity. The golden-lit elder made a low sound, a deep, vibrating hum that seemed to question Zira's words. Zira responded, her voice gaining strength, gesturing towards Kale's wrist where she had gripped him, where the blinding light had pulsed. She used the word again, the alien clicks preceding it, giving it cultural weight, resonance. Then she pointed to herself to him and drew a line between them. Claimed. The golden elder hummed again, longer this time. He gestured for Kale to approach. Kale hesitated, then limped forward, feeling exposed and bewildered. He stood before the elder, acutely aware of the circle of alien eyes watching him. The elder reached out a multi-jointed hand, similar to Zira's, but larger, tipped with blunt claws instead of sharp ones. The hand hovered over Kale's wrist. He braced himself. The elder's hand settled on his wrist, covering the spot where Zira had gripped him. A wave of intense warmth spread from the contact point, deeper than before, filling his entire arm. Then his chest. It was the resonance again, stronger, more encompassing. The elder closed his eyes, his golden bioluminescence flaring, spreading to encompass Keel in its warm glow. Keel felt a strange pressure inside his head, a sensation of foreign thoughts brushing against his own. It wasn't telepathy, not exactly, but a sharing of feeling, truth. He felt the elder's perception of the resonance, ancient, powerful, undeniable. He felt the elder's confusion too, a claim initiated by a soft mouth pressing, by a foreign substance. It was anomalous, disruptive, but the resonance was real. The elder withdrew his hand, his golden light receding. He opened his eyes, looking at Kale with a mixture of assessment and something that might have been grudging acceptance. He spoke, his voice a low, resonant rumble that filled the cavern. Zira translated, her own voice a low hum beside him. The elder says, the resonance is true. The claim is bound to the bright scale lineage. Kale let out a slow breath. It was real. He was bonded, claimed, by an alien warrior in her lineage. Because of lip balm, it still sounded insane, but the weight of the elder's touch, the depth of the resonance, grounded it in terrifying reality. Okay, Kale said, running a hand through his hair. So I'm bonded. What exactly does that mean? Culturally? Physically? Are there forms I need to fill out? Zira's bioluminescence pulsed slightly. It means, she stated, her voice firm, you are under our protection and our domain. You are no longer solitary. You belong here. To me. The elder spoke again, his gaze shifting from Kale to Zira. Zira listened, her posture rigid, then translated, her voice carrying a new weight. The elder said, an unclaimed resonance draw is dangerous. It attracts others. Those who seek to exploit powerful bonds. You must be, true, integrated, tested, to prove the bond's strength and value. Integrated, tested, value. More ominous words. Kale looked around the cavern, at the silent, glowing figures of the elders. This was his new reality, bound to an alien lineage, on a forbidden moon facing unknown tests and threats, because he wanted to soothe his dry lips. "All right," Kale said, straightening as much as his leg allowed. He met Zera's multifaceted gaze, the intense blue light of her bioluminescence holding his. "So, what's the test? You want to spar? See how well my bad leg holds up against alien crystal blades?" A faint flicker, something akin to amusement, crossed Zera's features. "Combat is one test," she rumbled, "but resonance is deeper than muscle. There are other tests of proximity, of understanding, of shared need." Shared need. That sounded promisingly dangerous. The elder spoke again, his voice resonating with authority. Zera translated, her voice lower, almost a whisper, but every word hit Kyle with the force of a physical blow. The elder says, "The draw of your resonance is already felt. Others are coming. Those who hunt disruptions. Those who take unbound power." Zera's bioluminescence flared with sudden, aggressive energy. "We must move to the deep caverns before they arrive." The elders rose, their movements slow but deliberate. The golden elder pointed towards a dark opening in the back of the cavern, where the ambient light didn't penetrate. "You come now, Kale," Zera commanded, taking his arm again, this time guiding him with less force, but equal urgency. "The hunters of resonance arrive soon. We must be secured." Hunters of resonance. Great. His luck just kept getting better. He was now property, marked by bizarre alien lip contact, and apparently a beacon for intergalactic predators. He followed Zera into the dark opening. The warmth of the elder cavern faded, replaced by a cool, still air. The bioluminescent crystals lining the path here were muted, providing only faint guidance. Zera's own light provided the primary illumination, casting shifting blue patterns on the walls around them. "Who are these hunters?" Kale asked, his voice low. "Why would they care about my resonance?" Zera didn't look at him. Her eyes were focused ahead, her posture tense. "There are those," she rumbled, her voice hard, "who seek to capture powerful resonances, to bind them to their will, to breed them, to exploit them." Breed them? Kale felt a cold knot form in his stomach. This was getting worse. "Breed me?" he repeated, trying to keep his voice steady. "Like livestock?" Zera finally looked at him, her eyes hard. "Like power sources, like weapons, a unique resonance, an unexpected bond. Though it is a prize for them, and your resonance, human. It is very bright to their senses." Bright. His lip balm-induced, accidental resonance was a bright, tasty treat for alien slavers. Fantastic. "Well, isn't that just dandy?" he muttered. "So I'm not just claim property, I'm bait." Zera stopped, turning to face him fully. Her bioluminescence pulsed with a fierce, protective light. "You are of my lineage now, Kale," she stated, her voice ringing with conviction. "You are not bait, you are family, to be protected, and to fight beside." Family. The word felt foreign, alien, coming from her, yet the strength in her voice, the fierce light in her eyes, made him believe it, for a fleeting moment. "Family, huh?" he said, a humorless smile playing on his lips. "Guess I always wanted a big, glowing alien family, just not like this." She reached out, her multi-jointed fingers tracing the faint line of his jaw. Her touch was gentle again, but possessive. "Our bond is new," she stated, her voice softer. "But resonance, this truth, it grows with shared need, shared proximity, shared need, shared proximity." The words seemed to echo the structure, the profile mentioned. It was starting. "So this deep cavern place," he said, needing to focus on something concrete. "Is it defensible? We talking reinforced walls, energy shields, or just in? Deep? It is the heart of the lineage," Zera answered, "woven from the strongest crystal, shielded by ancient energies. We are safest there. But they will come. They always come for strong resonance." She started moving again, deeper into the darkness. He followed, the pain in his leg a constant reminder of his vulnerability, but the strange warmth of the resonance in his chest a new, perplexing sensation. As they descended, the temperature dropped, and the air grew heavier. The muted bioluminescence of the crystal walls became the only light source, casting long, distorted shadows. The path narrowed, forcing them to walk close together. He could feel the heat radiating from Zura's body, the subtle movement of her segmented skin. The metallic sweet scent intensified, mingling with the ozone and the fainter, coconut-tinged scent that still lingered on his lips. They reached a wide, circular chamber, carved deep within the moon's crust. The walls here weren't crystalline, but smooth, polished obsidian, absorbing the light from the sparse, glowing flora that lined the edges. In the center was a large, flat platform of the same obsidian. This must be the heart. Zura led him onto the platform. As they stepped onto it, the obsidian pulsed with a soft, internal light, a deep, calming violet. The resonance in Kale's chest responded, blooming outwards, connecting with the energy of the place. It felt safe, surprisingly, undeniably safe. "This is where we wait," Zura stated, moving to the edge of the platform, her posture alert, scanning the shadows beyond the chamber's entrance. "The energy here strengthens the bond, makes it harder to break." Strengthens the bond. So, the more they were exposed to this energy, the more tied he was to her. He sat down on the cool obsidian, leaning back against a smooth wall. His leg throbbed, and exhaustion was starting to set in. "So, just hang out in the glowing safe zone until the resonance hunters get bored and go home?" he asked, sarcasm back in his voice. Zura turned, her eyes catching the faint light. "They do not get bored. They are relentless. They sense the draw of your resonance, the connection to my lineage. They will seek to break the bond, to take him, back to being a power source, a weapon." The thought was chilling. "And how do they break the bond?" he asked, his voice serious now. Zura was silent for a moment, her bioluminescence dimming slightly. "Through pain," she stated, her voice low. "Through separation, through forcing a counter-resonance." "A counter-resonance? Like dawn overriding a signal?" he asked, thinking of his smuggling tech. Zura nodded slowly. "A signal, a frequency. They will attempt to bind you to their frequency, to erase the mark of my lineage." He looked at his wrist, at the spot where she had touched him, where the white light had flared. There was no visible mark, but he could still feel the ghost of her touch, the lingering warmth. "And if they succeed?" he asks. Zura's eyes met his, and the vulnerability he'd glimpsed before was there again, raw and sharp. "Then you are lost to us," she stated simply, "and used by them, until you are consumed, like burning out a battery, a powerful, unique battery derived from human contact and alien biology." "Right," he said, pushing himself up again, ignoring the pain in his leg. He had a damn good reason to fight now. Better than just staying alive. Staying alive meant being a power source. Fighting meant staying with Zura. Staying claimed. The idea was still terrifying, but somehow less so than the alternative. "Okay, Zura," he said, meeting her gaze. "Let's not let that happen. How do we stop them? You said this place strengthens the bond, makes it harder to break?" "Yes," she confirmed, stepping closer to him. "And shared proximity, shared need, they also strengthen it. 2 points resonate louder together than one." Her words, framed in her alien concepts, resonated with a very human truth. Forced proximity, shared danger. It was the oldest story in the galaxy. She reached out, her hand hovering between them. He understood instantly. Not a command this time. An offering. A shared need. He raised his own hand. Their fingers intertwined. Her touch sent a jolt through him. Not painful this time, but a deep, grounding energy. The deep violet light of the obsidian platform brightened around them. Sarah's bioluminescence flared, synchronizing with his own internal resonance. The faint warmth in his chest blooming into a powerful, steady heat. He felt a sense of connection, of being tethered, not just to her, but to the very core of this alien moon. It was a strange, powerful feeling, terrifying, and oddly comforting. Zira squeezed his hand, her multifaceted eyes searching his. "The test begins, Kel," she rumbled, her voice low. "We hold the resonance together." He held her gaze, held her hand. The pain in his leg was still there, but it was background noise now. His focus was entirely on her, on the alien warrior who claimed him with a kiss and a tube of lip balm. "All right, Zira," he said, a grim smile touching his lips. "Let's give these hunters a show, huh? See if they can break a bond forged in coconut-scented absurdity." The seconds stretched into minutes. The silence in the heart of the lineage chamber was absolute, broken only by the low hum of the obsidian platform and the faint, synchronized pulsing of Kale and Zira's internal resonance. Kale's hand remained intertwined with Zira's, her grip firm, reassuring. He could feel the strength flowing between them, not just physical, but something deeper, energy and awareness woven together. The resonance in his chest was a steady, warm anchor. He found himself watching Zira, admiring the taut lines of her body, the way her bioluminescence shifted with her subtle movements, like living current under her skin. Her senses seemed honed to an impossible degree, her multifaceted eyes constantly scanning the darkness beyond their illuminated haven. He remembered her earlier question, the one about Kissable, and the sheer, raw curiosity in her eyes. It was still hard to reconcile that moment of innocent, bewildered exploration with the fierce, dominant warrior who had claimed him. But both were her, and somehow, both were now tied to him. He shifted slightly, his injured leg protesting. Zira noticed instantly. Her grip tightened fractionally, and her bioluminescence pulsed a soft, caring green. It was a non-verbal question, a silent offer of strength. He squeezed her hand in return. A small acknowledgement. "I'm good," he murmured. "Just stiff." The green light held for a moment longer before fading back to her alert blue. "Your form is not accustomed to this waiting," she observed. "My lineage. We are patient hunters and patient protectors." Patient. He wasn't particularly patient. He was a smuggler. Action, reaction, staying one step ahead. Waiting felt like losing ground, but he trusted her judgment in this. She knew this moon, knew these hunters. A faint sound reached them, a subtle disruption in the deep silence of the cavern. It was high-pitched, almost beyond human hearing, a faint scraping against rock. Zira's body tensed instantly. Her bioluminescence flared a bright, aggressive red. Her multifaceted eyes narrowed, focusing on the entrance to the chamber. "They come," she rumbled, her voice low and dangerous. The scraping sound grew louder, accompanied by a faint, rhythmic clicking. It was moving quickly through the passages. Kale pushed himself fully upright, letting go of Zira's hand reluctantly. He reached for the non-existent weapon at his hip. Useless. "What do they look like?" he asked, his gaze fixed on the darkness. "How many?" Zira didn't answer immediately, listening intently. "Multiple forms," she stated finally. "Similar, but twisted. Their resonance is jagged, unaligned. They are binders." Binders. The word was chilling. Creatures that captured and bound resonant beings. The scraping and clicking grew louder, closer. They were almost here. Zira drew the curved, crystal-edged blade from her back. It pulsed with a fierce internal light, mirroring the aggressive red of her bioluminescence. "They will try to lure you," she warned, her voice sharp, "to isolate the human resonance. Do not move from the platform. The energy here is your shield." "Lure him? How?" The scraping and clicking sound stopped just outside the entrance to the chamber. The silence that followed was even more unnerving than the noise. Then, a new sound emerged from the darkness. A voice. It wasn't human, wasn't Zira's language. It was a series of low, seductive hums and clicks, woven together into something that felt manipulative. It seemed to be directed at him. Kel felt a strange pull, a disorientation in his mind. The resonance in his chest wavered, drawn towards the sound. It felt like a promise, a release from the pressure, A return to being yet unbound. His leg ached. His body was weary. The thought of escaping, of not being claimed or marked or hunted, was tempting. He took a hesitant step towards the edge of the platform. Kale, Zira's voice snapped, sharp and commanding. Cutting through the seductive hums, her hand shot out, gripping his arm, halting his movement. Her red bioluminescence flared, pushing back against the foreign influence. The hums from the darkness intensified, shifting, becoming more insistent. He felt the pull stronger this time, a dizzying wave of disorientation. He saw images flash in his mind. His old ship, the freedom of the void, faces from his past. The hunters were using his memories, his desires against him. "Stay," Zura commanded, pulling him back towards the center of the platform. She pressed herself against his side, her body radiating heat and fierce determination. Her bioluminescence pulsed rapidly, creating a shield of pure aggressive light around them. He felt the foreign pull lessen, blocked by her presence, her strength and the steady energy of the obsidian platform. He shook his head, clearing the confusion. "You're messing with my head," he gritted out. "Using memories. They sense your longing for what you lost," Zura rumbled, her focus still on the entrance. "But you are claimed now. That past is just shadow." The hums from the darkness changed again, becoming frustrated, angry. The scraping and clicking sounds resumed, closer this time, moving along the walls just outside the entrance. The binders were trying to find a way in, trying to force a confrontation. Zira pushed him gently behind her, positioning herself between him and the entrance, her crystal blade held ready. Her posture was pure warrior, fierce and protective. He watched her, a surge of something new replacing the fear, admiration. This alien huntress, who had claimed him due to a bizarre misunderstanding, was ready to defend him with her life. He was no warrior, but he wasn't useless. He looked around the chamber. Were there other entrances? Any vulnerabilities? The obsidian walls seemed solid, ancient, but the path they'd used to enter, it was just a dark tunnel. The scraping sounds indicated the binders were on the move, not necessarily trying to enter through the main passage. They were circling, testing the defenses. "The path we came down," Kale said quickly. "Is there another way into this chamber from that tunnel?" Zura didn't take her eyes off the entrance, but she answered, "Multiple smaller passages. Only the main is wide enough for mass entry. The others are for scouts or hunters." "Scouts, hunters. Great." The clicking sound was closer now, coming from the side. Something was trying to enter one of the smaller passages. "They're sending in scouts," Carol said. "They'll be looking for a weakness. For me." He knew he was the target. His unique resonance. If one gets in, he continued, thinking fast, it could try that binder trick again. Maybe stronger up close? Zura nodded curtly. "The bond must be proven strong enough to repel them," she stated. Her eyes flickered towards him, a silent question. Was he ready? Ready for what? To face whatever alien horror crawled out of the tunnels? Ready to rely on this fragile, bizarre bond they shared? He met her gaze, the intensity of her multifaceted eyes holding him. He wasn't ready, not by a long shot. But he had no other choice. He felt the connection between them, the resonance, humming steadily now, a shield against the foreign influence. It wasn't just protection, it was strength. His strength, her strength, woven together. "All right, Zira," he said, planting his feet firmly on the obsidian platform. "Let's prove this bond." "What do we do?" Zira turned back to the entrance, her posture shifting. She didn't just stand ready to defend. She prepared to attack. "We draw them in," she rumbled, her voice a low growl, "to the edge of the platform, and when they attempt to bind, we focus the resonance. Together, drive them back. Draw them in. Use himself as bait, even on the platform." It was risky, but logical. If the platform's energy and their combined resonance was the defense, they needed the attackers to come within its effective range. The clicking sounds grew louder, closer, coming from multiple directions now. Small, rapid movements in the dark. "The scouts." Zura stepped back slightly, closer to the center of the platform, ensuring Kale was covered by the full strength of its energy field. Her bioluminescence flared, a beacon of fierce, challenging red. She lowered her stance, her crystal blade held in a reverse grip, ready to strike. The air filled with the faint, unpleasant scent of the binders, metallic, stagnant, like decay. Then they emerged from the smaller passages, not full-sized warriors, but smaller, skittering forms. They were hunched, multi-limbed creatures, their bodies covered in rough, dark plating. Their eyes were small, dull points of light, utterly unlike Zira's vibrant, multifaceted gaze. And emanating from them, Kale felt that same jagged, disruptive resonance, a dissonant chord against the steady hum of the platform and his connection to Zira. There were 4 of them, emerging from different points around the chamber. They didn't immediately attack. They stopped at the edge of the obsidian platform, their dull eyes fixing on Kale. The seductive, manipulative hums returned, stronger now, layered and complex. The disorientation hit Kale with full force this time. Images flashed. His family, gone. The cargo he'd lost, his failed life, the regret, the guilt, the loneliness. The binders amplified it all, twisting it into a painful cacophony in his mind. The desire to escape, to sever the strange, demanding bond with Zira in this alien world, screamed at him. His knees buckled. Zira moved instantly, her body a shield against the psychic assault. She wrapped an arm around his waist, bracing him. Her hand clamped down on his chest, right over his heart, over the locus of the resonance. Her bioluminescence exploded into a blinding white light, focused and intense, pushing back against the binder's influence. "Kale!" she rumbled, her voice amplified by the resonance cutting through the mental noise. "Focus! We are claimed! We are bonded! Focus the resonance!" Her touch was a physical anchor, her voice a lifeline. He clung to her presence, focusing on the feeling of her against him, the fierce light she radiated, the steady power of the platform beneath his feet. He pushed back against the intrusive thoughts, the pain, the longing, claimed. The word that had terrified him now felt like a shield. Bonded. It wasn't just her word for it anymore. He felt it, a deep, undeniable connection to her strength, to this insane situation. He focused on that feeling, on the white light, on Zira. He pushed his own inner strength, the fragile resonance within him, outward, merging it with hers. The white light intensified, spreading outwards from Zira's hand on his chest, enveloping both of them. It met the jagged resonance of the binders like a physical force field. The hums from the binders turned to sharp, high-pitched screeches of pain. Their dark plating smoked where the light touched them. They recoiled, scrambling back into the shadows. The attack broke. Kale sagged against Zira, breathing heavily. The psychic noise receded, leaving his mind clear, but ringing. Zira held him for a moment longer, her bioluminescence slowly fading back to a vibrant, pulsing blue. Her grip on his chest loosened, but her arm remained around his waist. She hadn't let go. He hadn't let go. "You focused the resonance," she stated, her voice thick with something he couldn't quite identify. Pride. Relief. "You pushed them back." "We pushed them back," he corrected. Looking up at her, her multifaceted eyes met his, holding a new depth. "Yes," she agreed, her voice softer. The bond held. The bond held. He had faced alien psychic attack fueled by his deepest regrets, and the bizarre, lip balm-induced bond with this alien warrior had saved him. It was insane, but it worked. Zira finally released her hold on him, stepping back, though she remained close. She looked towards the entrance where the binders had retreated. "They will not try that method again, not immediately," she stated. "The resonance is proven strong against their binding frequency." Proven strong, he felt. Different. Exhausted, yes, but also stronger. The resonance in his chest felt more solid, more integrated. It wasn't just a strange warmth anymore. It felt like a part of him. So what's next? he asked. Do they try physical force? Zura nodded, her eyes scanning the shadows. They will attempt to draw us out, to separate the points of resonance. Or to break the core. Break the core. He had a feeling the core was them. Together. She looked at him, her expression serious. The test of resonance is also a test of shared intimacy, Kale, she stated, using the human word, though her interpretation was clearly alien. Proximity strengthens. Need deepens. Against the binder's efforts, though our bond must become undeniable, physically, emotionally, physically, emotionally, undeniable. Was this the next phase of the test? The escalation of intimacy she'd mentioned? Trapped in a deep cavern, hunted by alien slavers, told their bizarre bond needed to become undeniable physically and emotionally. He was starting to understand the true, terrifying scope of being claimed by the bright-scale lineage. And by Zira, the faint scraping and clicking sounds resumed in the distance. But they were different now, less frantic, more deliberate. They were regrouping, planning. And Zira was looking at him with an intensity that promised the next phase of their shared test was about to begin. She reached out, her hand brushing his cheek, then trailing down to his mouth. Her multifaceted eyes held his, searching, assessing. The feeling of kissable, she rumbled, her voice low. It was resonance. A call. My blood answered. His blood answered. It wasn't just a strange reaction to the bomb. It was something fundamental about her biology, her culture, a physical response to a foreign trigger that somehow mimicked their own bonding resonance. And the test against the binders, she continued, her voice gaining depth. It has amplified the call, the need to solidify the resonance. Solidify the resonance. The phrase hung in the air, thick with implication. She leaned closer, her scent of ozone and metallic sweetness filling his senses. Her bioluminescence pulsed with a deep, hungry violet. The predatory edge was back in her eyes, but it was different now, mixed with something raw, something undeniably linked to the strange bond between them. Kale, she breathed, her multi-plated lips parting slightly. The binders seek to break us, to shatter the resonance. The only way to make it unbreakable, that is to make it complete. Complete. He knew what she meant. The shared proximity, the shared need, the shared intimacy she had spoken of. It wasn't just about enduring the attack. It was about forging their bond into something solid, something real, something that couldn't be broken by external force. She stepped closer still, until their bodies were almost touching. He could feel the heat radiating from her, the subtle vibration of her internal hum against his skin. Her hand cupped his face, her segmented skin surprisingly soft against his cheek. Let the call be answered fully, she rumbled, her voice a low vibration that seemed to resonate deep within his own body. Let the bond be forged in the heart of the lineage. Against the coming darkness, we make the resonance undeniable. She leaned in, and this time, the kiss was different. Not investigative, it was demanding, possessive. Her multi-plated lips moved against his with a fierce urgency, her tongue surprisingly soft and sensitive, darting out to touch his. A shockwave of sensation ripped through him. It wasn't just physical, it was tied to the resonance, amplifying it, weaving their energies together. The white light from the platform flared around them, brighter than before, responding to the surge of power from their joined bodies, their merging resonance. He wrapped his arms around her, pulling her against him. Her segmented skin was warm and yielding under his hands, the muscle taut beneath. He buried his face in her neck, inhaling her strange, intoxicating scent. This was it, the solidification, the completion of the bond, driven by alien hunters and a bizarre, lip balm-induced connection. It was chaos. It was madness. And it was, undeniably, powerful. Sarah made a low sound, a guttural moan that vibrated through his chest. Her body pressed closer, molding against his. Her bioluminescence pulsed with a feverish intensity, shifting rapidly through shades of violet and crimson, Her hands tangled in his hair, pulling his head back, deepening the kiss. The energy crackling between them was almost visible, a shimmering aura of white light surrounding their joined forms. His injured leg was forgotten, the pain dissolving in the overwhelming tide of sensation. This wasn't just sex, it was a ritual, a defense, a merging of two disparate beings into a single resonant entity. They sank to the obsidian platform, the cool surface a stark contrast to the heat of their bodies. The deep violet light of the platform throbbed around them, syncing with the frantic pulse of Zira's bioluminescence. She broke the kiss, pulling back just enough to look down at him, her multifaceted eyes dark with desire and a fierce, primal need. The resonance demands completion, Kale, she breathed, her voice hoarse. Against the binders, we show them unbreakable truth. And then she moved, her body fluid and strong, shedding the few scraps of fiber she wore. He did the same, clumsy in his haste. Her alien form was breathtaking in the dim light, the complex patterns of her segmented skin, the powerful curves of her muscles, the soft, pulsating glow beneath. She was utterly alien, utterly beautiful, utterly dominant. She positioned herself over him, powerful and deliberate. Her hands traced the contours of his body, exploring with a touch that was both rough and surprisingly sensitive. He arched against her, driven by a need that felt both his own and amplified by the strange resonance binding them. She guided him, her touch firm, possessive. The first joining was a shock, a tearing sensation followed by an explosive release of energy. The resonance surged, the white light around them blinding. Zira cried out, a fierce, guttural sound that was both pain and triumph. Her bioluminescence flared to an intense, blinding white, mirroring the light of the platform. He felt his own consciousness spiral, caught in the maelstrom of alien sensation and raw energy. It was overwhelming, disorienting, but threaded with an intense pleasure that bypassed his human understanding and went straight to his core. Their bodies moved together, driven by a primal rhythm that felt ancient and essential. The binders were forgotten. The hunters were forgotten. There was only Zira, the light, the resonance, and the undeniable truth of their joined forms. Her movements were powerful, dominant, setting the pace, guiding the surge and ebb of energy. She whispered alien words against his skin, clicks and hums that resonated with the physical act, deepening the connection, weaving the bond stronger with every thrust, every pulse of light. He felt her body tense, a ripple of power moving through her. Her bioluminescence flared one last time, a brilliant supernova of white light. A low, resonant sound escaped her, a long, drawn-out hum that vibrated through his entire being. He felt a sharp, intense sensation, like a physical mark being burned onto his soul, centered around the resonance point in his chest. It was tied to her climax, to the peak of their physical union. It wasn't pain, not exactly, but a deep, indelible imprinting, a final, undeniable claim. Zira collapsed against him, breathing heavily, her segmented skin slick with exertion. The blinding light around them faded, leaving only the steady, deep violet glow of the obsidian platform. Her bioluminescence dimmed, settling into a soft, content blue. The air in the chamber was thick with the aftermath of their union. The metallic sweet scent, stronger than ever, mingled now with the scent of his own arousal and something else, something new, tied to the bond. They lay together on the cool obsidian, bodies intertwined, breathing slowing. Kale felt utterly spent, physically and emotionally raw. The resonance in his chest felt different now, deeper, more stable. The physical act had anchored it, woven it into his very being. Zira stirred, lifting her head to look down at him. Her multifaceted eyes, soft now, held a depth of emotion he hadn't seen before. Vulnerability, and something else. Regret? Confusion? She had completed the bond, solidified the resonance against the binders. But the physical intimacy, the human kissable concept that had started it all, had clearly gone beyond the pragmatic needs of alien ritual. She traced the line of his lips with a fingertip, her touch gentle, The resonance is complete, she rumbled, her voice quiet. The bond is undeniable. But the words lacked the earlier, fierce conviction. Something had happened during their union. Something unexpected. Zira, he asked, his voice rough. What's wrong? She didn't answer immediately. Her eyes flickered. Her gaze distant, focused inward. The claiming. Now it was need against the binders, she stated, as if explaining it to herself. The resonance. It binds us, makes us one against the darkness. She paused, then her gaze returned to his, troubled. But the feeling of kissable, she used the human word again. The tone soft, bewildered. And the feeling of disgust, she gestured vaguely at their joined bodies. It is more than need, more than resonance, more than ritual, more than defense. She had experienced something new, something human. Love, affection, the feelings he had attached to kissable and bonding before. Yeah, he said softly, reaching up to touch her face. That's the human part. Her bioluminescence pulsed with agitation, shifting through shades of green and yellow. The human part, she echoed, turning the phrase over. It is disruptive to the balance, to the claiming. Disruption again. He was disruption from the start. But now, their shared intimacy, their completed bond, was disrupting her understanding, her reality. Is that bad? He asked. She didn't answer. She just looked at him, her multifaceted eyes wide, filled with a complex mix of confusion, wonder, and perhaps the fear. The binder's attack had been repelled. The bond had been solidified. But the real test, the test of their vastly different cultures, their alien and human hearts, was just beginning. Zira pulled away from him slowly, rising from the obsidian platform. Her bioluminescence was a muted blue, lacking its usual vibrant power. The aftermath of their union hung heavy in the air, a mix of exhaustion, raw emotion, and the lingering scent of their joined bodies. Kale lay there for a moment longer, watching her. He felt the physical proof of their completed bond deep within him, a solid, warm presence tied to the resonance point in his chest. It wasn't just a feeling anymore. It felt like a physical structure woven into his being. He pushed himself up, wincing as his injured leg protested. He found his clothes, the torn flight suit, feeling alien and wrong after the raw intimacy of their physical union. Zira had pulled on her woven fibers, but she still moved with a subdued energy, her gaze distant. So, Kale said, breaking the silence. The bond's complete. The binders were repelled. Does that mean we're safe for now? Zira turned to face him, her expression unreadable. They are gone for now, she stated, her voice flat. Their attempt to break the resonance failed. Our bond is fortified against their frequency. Fortified, that was good, but her demeanor wasn't. But, he prompted. She hesitated, her bioluminescence flickering. The resonance draw remains, she finally said. Stronger now. It will attract others, stronger binders, more determined. They will sense the completion. The power of the union. The power of the union, their union, which from her perspective had just gone beyond the needs of a simple, claiming ritual and into something disruptive. So we're still hunted, Kale said, the reality sinking in. Just by a bigger, badder class of hunter, Zira nodded slowly. Unless the bond is severed, or understood by those who govern the resonance. Govern the resonance? Govern the resonance? Who governs it? He asked. The elders? Zira's gaze shifted, focusing on the dark tunnel leading out of the chamber. Beyond the elders. There are custodians, ancient ones. They observe the flow of resonance. Uncontrolled, powerful resonance. God, it is brought to their attention. Custodians, ancient ones. This was getting more complicated by the minute. And what happens when it's brought to their attention? He asked. More tests? Sacrifice? Being consumed? Integration, Zira stated, her voice low, into the great resonance. Or dissolution. If the bond is deemed
unstable, unworthy,
unstable, unworthy, was that what she feared? That their bond, forged in such bizarre, non-ritualistic circumstances, mixed with human kissable feelings, would be judged unstable? He walked towards her, stopping just a step away. He reached out tentatively and touched her hand. Her segmented skin was cool, but she didn't pull away. Her bioluminescence shifted to a soft, questioning green. "Zira," he said softly. "Listen, I know this is all weird and not how things are supposed to work here. But that bond, I felt it too. When the binders attacked, when we—" He trailed off, the memory of their physical union still raw and powerful. "It wasn't just a ritual for me either. It was something else." He looked into her multifaceted eyes, trying to convey the complex tangle of his own feelings. Fear, confusion, but also a burgeoning connection, a strange sense of belonging he hadn't felt in years. "It was real," he finished. Zero was silent for a long moment, her gaze searching his face. Her bioluminescence pulsed softly, the green light steady. Then, she did something unexpected. She squeezed his hand. "Real?" she echoed, the word resonating strangely. "Yes. It feels real, and it feels dangerous. Dangerous because it wasn't clean, wasn't ritualistic, wasn't just claiming for survival. Dangerous because it involved messy human feelings she didn't understand. Feelings that had somehow been amplified by their physical union. Dangerous is kind of my default setting," he said, trying for a smile, the sarcasm automatic. "Look, if these custodians need to see the bond, let's show them. Let's show them. It's strong. Let's show them. Tishel, it's worth something." He didn't know if he believed it himself, but saying it out loud gave it weight. Zero looked at him, then out into the darkness. A decision seemed to form within her. Her posture straightened, and some of her earlier warrior presence returned, though tempered by the vulnerability he'd glimpsed. "We must go to the Nexus," she stated, her voice gaining strength. "The place where the Great Resonance is accessed, where the custodians commune, the Nexus. Another place. Another test." "All right," Kale said, "lead the way. But hey," he added, a thought striking him. "Before we go, can I have my lip balm back?" Zira blinked, momentarily thrown by the mundane request. She reached into a pouch on her woven fiber garment and produced a small plastic tube. She held it out to him. He took it, tucking it into his pocket. "Just asking," he shrugged. "Never know when Kissable might come in handy again." A low hum vibrated from Zira's throat, something that might have been amusement. Her bioluminescence pulsed a soft, almost playful violet. The tension eased slightly. They were still hunted, still facing unknown challenges. But for this one moment, there was a shared understanding, a recognition of the absurd beginning to their impossible bond. "Come, Kale," Zira said, turning towards the path leading out of the heart chamber. "The Nexus is deep. The journey will test the bond further." He followed her, the pain in his leg a dull throb now, the warmth of the resonance in his chest a steady, undeniable presence. He was claimed, bonded, and heading towards an encounter with ancient alien custodians, all thanks to a tube of lip balm and a curious alien warrior. It was the most ridiculous thing that had ever happened to him, and somehow he wouldn't trade it. The journey to the Nexus was long and arduous. Zara moved with relentless energy, her alien form perfectly adapted to the treacherous terrain of the deep caverns. Kale, hampered by his injured leg and general human fragility, struggled to keep up. Zira often had to slow for him, sometimes offering a steadying hand, her grip strong and reassuring. They encountered signs of the binders occasionally, faint tracks, lingering traces of their unpleasant scent, disturbed crystal formations. The hunters were still out there, searching, sensing the powerful resonance draw of their completed bond, their shared need to survive, to reach the Nexus. Forced to constant, intimate proximity, they navigated narrow passages where their bodies brushed constantly, climbed sheer crystal walls where Kale relied entirely on Zira's strength and guidance, rested in small hidden alcoves where they had to huddle together for warmth in the cool, deep air. The bond between them, the resonance in Kale's chest, seemed to grow stronger with each shared hardship, each moment of reliance. He felt more attuned to Zira, sensing her shifts in mood, her heightened alertness to danger, even faint echoes of her alien thoughts, a complex blend of focus, strategy, and that lingering confusion about human feelings. She, in turn, seemed more aware of his limitations, his pain, his moments of fear. She still retained her inherent dominance, her role as first hunter and claimer, but it was overlaid with a new layer of
Nuddle care.
the kind of care born not just of cultural obligation, but of something deeper, something personal. One evening, huddled in a small crystalline cave, the walls glowing with a soft, protective light, Kale was changing the bandage on his leg. It wasn't healing well. Zira watched him, her multifaceted eyes intent. "Your form heals slowly," she observed. "Like your understanding of claiming." He chuckled, pain tightening his chest. "Touche. Yeah, human bodies are kinda squishy. Takes a while to knit back together." She reached out, her hand hovering over his leg wound. Her bioluminescence pulsed a soft, healing green. He felt a warmth spread from her hand, a gentle, soothing energy that eased the throbbing pain. It wasn't a miracle cure, but it helped. "Your resonance," she rumbled, her voice low. "It is tied to this fragility." "Maybe," he admitted. "Maybe it's tied to not being perfect, not being strong all the time. Humans mess up. We get hurt, and we keep going anyway." He met her gaze. "Maybe that's a kind of strength too." She considered this, her light shifting. "Strength is multifaceted," she finally conceded, using a word that described her own eyes. Not just bone and muscle. It was a concession, a sign that her rigid understanding of strength and claiming was softening, expanding to include his messy human reality. As they continued their journey, Keel started to understand more of Zira's world, her lineage, the significance of the resonance. He learned that the bright-scale lineage valued strength, loyalty, and the power of their collective resonance. Uncontrolled resonance was dangerous not just because it attracted binders, but because it disrupted the harmony of their world, the delicate balance of energy flow. Their bond, initiated by accident and deepened by intimacy, was a powerful, chaotic surge of resonance that needed to be either integrated, silenced, and they were hurtling towards the place of judgment. They finally reached the nexus on the 10th cycle since the crash. It was a colossal chamber, far larger than the heart of the lineage, carved from a single, massive crystal that pulsed with a deep, constant gold light. Intricate patterns of light and energy flowed across its surface, like rivers of pure power. In the center of the chamber, floating within a vortex of golden light, were the custodians. They were vast, ethereal beings, not solid like Zira or the elders, but shimmering forms of pure energy, their shapes shifting and reforming with the flow of the great resonance. Their presence filled the chamber, overwhelming Kale with a sense of immense age and power. Zira led him to the edge of a wide platform overlooking the central vortex. She knelt, pulling Kale down beside her. Her posture was one of deep respect, almost reverence. The custodians turned their luminous forms towards them, their collective gaze settling on Kale. He felt the same probing presence in his mind that he had felt from the elder, amplified 1,000-fold. It wasn't painful, but it was intense, stripping away pretense, laying bare his fears, his guilt, his strange bond with Zira. He felt the custodians examine the resonance within him, following its thread back to its bizarre origin. The crash, the lip balm, the kiss, the claim, the union in the heart. It was like his entire improbable journey was being played out for these ancient, judging entities. He felt their confusion, their assessment of the anomaly. He felt their power, the potential for integration or dissolution. Zira spoke, her voice resonating in the vast chamber, carrying the weight of her lineage, her rank as first hunter. She spoke not in alien clicks, but in a language of pure resonance, a song of light and energy that Kale couldn't understand with his mind, but felt in his soul. She spoke of the crash, of his disruption, of the unexpected resonance, of the binders, of their shared need and shared intimacy. She spoke of the bond they had forged, not through ritual, but through necessity, and something more. As she spoke, her bioluminescence flared, synchronizing with the golden light of the Nexus crystal, weaving her personal resonance and Kale's alongside it into the larger energy flow of the chamber. It was a confession, a plea, and a declaration of truth, all woven into a song of light. Kale felt his own resonance responding, pulsing in time with hers, amplifying her message. He focused on the feeling of their connection, on the warmth in his chest, on the memory of her touch, her kiss, their desperate union. He poured his own messy human feelings, his fear, his reluctant affection for her, his desperate hope for survival, into the resonance. He didn't understand the custodians, didn't understand the full cosmic weight of the great resonance, but he understood Zira, and he understood that they faced this together. When Zira finished her song, the chamber fell silent. The golden light of the Nexus crystal pulsed slowly, deliberately. The forms of the custodians shifted, their collective gaze still fixed on Kale. He waited, his breath held for their judgment. After what felt like an eternity, one of the custodian forms solidified slightly, focusing its luminous energy into a single point. A voice resonated not in the air but directly in Kale's mind, clear and ancient. The resonance is anomaly, disruptive, origin, chaotic. Kale braced himself. Here it came, dissolution. Zira tensed beside him. But the custodian continued. But the resonance is, which strong, unified, the bond holds against dissonance. Kale felt a flicker of hope. It is not of ritual, the custodian's voice resonated. It is a shared need, shared truth, shared feeling. The custodians had recognized the human element, the more that Zira couldn't name, the anomaly. Gone is stable, the custodian declared. The bond dared to integrated, not dissolved, not consumed. Kale let out the breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Zira sagged against him, her own tension draining away. Her bioluminescence pulsed with a powerful, steady blue, now seamlessly integrated into the golden light of the Nexus crystal. You are no longer anomaly, the custodian resonated in Kale's mind. You are part of the great resonance, part of the bright scale lineage. Bound. The custodian forms began to dissipate, their energy flowing back into the golden vortex, the ancient minds withdrawing. Zira rose slowly, her eyes wide, looking at Kale with a mix of awe and disbelief. Integrated, she whispered, her voice filled with wonder. They accepted the bond. The feeling was accepted into the great resonance. He rose with her, still feeling the echo of the custodian's presence, the sense of integration into something vast and ancient. The resonance in his chest felt different again, expanded, connected to the fundamental energy of this moon. So, he said, a tired smile spreading across his face. Guess I'm official now, huh? Certified member of the glowing alien family. Zira looked at him, a genuine smile spreading across her multi-plated lips, revealing the edge of those sharp, crystalline teeth. This time, the smile wasn't predatory. It was happy. You are Kale, she stated, her voice firm, resonant with her restored authority, but laced with something new, something soft. Kale of the bright scale lineage, claimed. Bound. Integrated. She reached out, taking his hand again, her touch warm and solid. But I'm mine. The word mine was still possessive, but it lacked the cold claim of property. It was the claim of belonging, his belonging to her, her belonging to him. It was the resonance of shared truth. They stood together in the golden light of the Nexus, their bond accepted, their future uncertain, but intertwined. He was a guilt-driven smuggler who crash-landed on a forbidden moon, and got claimed by an alien warrior over a tube of lip balm. She was a ritual-proud hunter whose understanding of the universe had been disrupted and expanded by human kissable feelings and a chaotic, undeniable bond. They were an anomaly, integrated, and somehow, it felt like home.